So I normally don't care for holiday or any type of themed videos. It's generally not my style, but I did want to take a look at 3 of my favorite films this Valentine's Day. I'm not going to take a look at any horror-themed films. I do apologize. I am stepping out of character a bit here. These are actually just some films. You know, not everyone has somebody to enjoy the day with, or maybe not everyone cares to celebrate, but these are my selections of films which, when going through, you know, emotional or relationship trouble, they've helped me out. They mean a great deal to me emotionally and personally. So the first film I would like to take a look at is Closer. It does star Julia Roberts, Jude Law, Natalie Portman, and Clive Owen. The film was released in 2004 and is directed by Mike Nichols. I think it's a wonderful film. You definitely do have a lot of relationship dynamics. It's definitely a very brutally honest take on modern day relationships, or how people in modern day society approach love and romance. So the opening sequence of the film, we have Natalie Portman, who barely arriving to London, not really familiar with how traffic works, happens to get hit by a car. She is scooped up by Jude Law, taken to the hospital, and they take up a relationship. They are obviously very, very closely drawn. The real trouble actually starts when Jude Law, or Dan Wolfe, after having written his first novel, which is based on his girlfriend Alice's life as a stripper, meets up with Julia Roberts to have a photo taken for the back jacket cover of his book. He instantly is drawn to her, also just kind of starts drifting towards her and making eyes at her. So they do share a kiss. Alice does gain wind of this as she overhears him when she pretends to go to the bathroom. She basically calls out Anna on the events that did take place and asks her to leave them alone. 1 year later, when Anna is holding her exhibition for her photos, Dan once again pursues her. This time they do take up in a relationship secretly, and which is later revealed both pairs do break up and trade partners. So then we later have just this intertwining of easy make and break relationships. In the end, we do realize, or Alice realizes, that her relationship is a falsity, as she does admit she cannot tell the truth and that the relationship will not be possible. So she breaks up with him, heads back to the US. What makes it a funny twist is Dan eventually does go back to one of the meeting places that he first took Alice to, and just looks at the name markers and finds the name Alice Ayres along the memorial wall, realizing that his girlfriend never actually told her his real name. So in breaking up with him, she actually did tell the truth for once and did him a favor. The second film I would like to also take a look at is Fur, which stars Robert Downey Jr., and we also have Nicole Kidman playing Deanne Arbus. The film is titled or labeled as an imaginary portrait of Deanne Arbus, which is very true. It's very loose events from her life. The whole concept of the film came about from the first photo ever taken by Arbus, which was just a black and white portrait of a man. Nobody really knows anything about the gentleman. It's probably one of the most tame or most easily approachable portraits she has ever taken, as she does lean more towards the abstract and unusual in her artwork or photography work. So the film basically just explores the backstory of who could this man have been, what roles did he play in her life. And so it is later revealed that Robert Downey's character is a gentleman who is inflicted with hypertrichosis. Please forget my pronunciation. I have trouble with that word. But basically it's a disorder in which people are basically just covered in fur. The film, of course, does not focus on any of that cruelty, but rather the beauty of his uniqueness. And we do realize that Deanne is very much drawn to unique personalities and persons. So Robert Downey Jr.'s character, ironically named Lionel, was a circus performer. He did enjoy some success, is now retired, and is a very profitable wig maker. And it definitely does make sense to take up that career. So it is also somewhat of a love story as well. Deanne is very much drawn to the character Lionel, although she is a married woman and she has children of her own. But I think the relationship that Deanne and Lionel share is very unique in the sense that he makes her realize who she really is, no longer to be ashamed of who she is, what she enjoys. And at the end of the film, she does leave. It is not known for certain if she does leave her family permanently or if it's just another photography project, but takes up at a nudist colony to work on yet another one of her better known series of photographs. So the last film I'd like to take a look at is Finding Neverland, starring Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet. Depp basically plays J.M. Barrie, who is the famous playwright of the Peter Pan play that most children are familiar with. And it definitely does also play very heavily on relationship dynamics. Obviously, he is a married man. He and his wife are from two completely different worlds. He lives in an imaginary fantasy world, and this is how he lives and breathes. This is his life. She is just very much herself, just a very strict, very rigid woman who does want a life with her husband. She wants to be part of his world, but never really expresses or vocalizes this to him. During the course of the film, when riding at a park working on his latest play, he does come across Kate Winslet's character and her family. So Winslet, who plays Sylvia Davies, is a widow. She's left with a bit of a financial burden. J.M. Barrie does take to her children. They do play quite often, and he does spend a great deal of time with her family as they play. They go on adventures, imaginary adventures, and this eventually does start people talking about J.M. Barrie and his involvement with the family, what his intentions are with the widow, since he is already a married man, and what his business is with the children, as it's very odd that he's spending time with someone else's family rather than his own. Obviously, throughout the course of the film, Sylvia does take ill, she does pass, but we do realize that she and her family, just through the relationship or close personal friendship connection that they have forged, has helped or assisted Barrie with writing the greatest play that he's ever written. So those are basically my favorite films, but I do hope you will take a look at the films and enjoy them as much, if not more, than I have. That is all I have for you for today, so I will see you next week and have a wonderful day.